Welcome to Reframed, the panel show that analyses all things disability in the media. My name's Jason Clymo. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm a queer young person with disability who has dabbled in some modelling, acting, and I'm also a business owner. I'm fiercely passionate about the accurate representation of people with disability on screen.
And hi, I'm Stephanie Dower. I'm a filmmaker and access coordinator, and I'm also a keen traveller. And I'm really excited to talk all things disability on screen with today's amazing guests. So let's meet who they are. On the panel today, we have Elizabeth Wright, also known as Liz. Liz is a triple Paralympic medalist for Australia in swimming and is now a reporter for ABC Sport.
Also joining us today is Elvin Lam, self-described as born profoundly deaf in Hong Kong. Elvin is now living and working in Australia as a multifaceted performer. He is a dancer, theatre maker, visual artist, and silver medal winning figure skater. And with his sign singing taking him to the screen and stage, Elvin uses Auslan across multiple platforms.
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now it's time for our first segment, and it is called Get Your Head in the Frame. I'll be asking our panelists 3 multiple choice questions about pop culture and media. So let's see what our panelists know. All right, first question, guys. What podcast genre has the largest percentage of listeners? A, sports, B, true crime, or C, news?
Elvin?
Elvin. by a split second.
So fast.
Damn it.
Got it. If I'd have a guess, I'd say news, because a lot of people are accessing news every day. It's a daily thing.
You know what? You're right. Absolutely.
Well done.
Yes.
Oh, am I great?
21% of all listeners. See, if I was answering, I actually would have said true crime because I'm like,
Same.
I was
Yeah,
going to say
yeah.
true crime.
but you know
because-
what? That makes a lot of sense because you're right. A lot of people get news from podcasts nowadays. So yeah.
I feel like the true crime listeners have become like a cult.
There you go, yeah. And it's sort of in a way part of news as well.
Yeah, true.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
and news is
true.
a very broad genre,
It is.
so that probably makes sense that it's the most popular.
That's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
in that sense, then, wouldn't sport fall under news as well?
Yeah, look, that's a good point, I feel. I don't know what a specifically sport
Yeah.
podcast is, but, you know, I'm just going by what's in front of me.
I don't know much about sport in general, so
Maybe sport's a bit of a cult as well.
It's
It
a very
is.
large cult. All right, guys. Moving on to question 2. According to GLAD, in 2020, what percentage of actors on TV had disabilities? A, 16.8%, B, 8%, or C, 3.1%? Oh, I think that was Jason that time.
I'm going to say C because I think it was the lowest, and I just think it's going to be really low because people with disability don't get hired.
Sadly, you are correct.
Yeah.
Yes, 3.1%
Yeah.
of actors on TV had lived experience of disability, which is a real shame, considering that we make up, 18% of the entire population?
Yeah, something like
So
that.
there's a very big shortfall there.
It is depressing. And I'd actually wonder, out of that very small percentage, what disabilities are even being represented.
That's a good point.
And, you know, whether there's much intersectionality as well, or if it's kind of the most palatable version of people with disability
That's a
that are
good
being
point.
portrayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with that, like, when they are represented, they may be in a small role.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly right. That's just exactly, they could be, quiet in the background. I don't think we're talking about 3% of leading characters, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's move on to something a little bit more fun now. The last question. Are we all ready?
It's getting competitive, Elvin.
Between you.
Let's see.
Yeah, I know. Liz, are you
how far
okay
I
in the
can
middle? Are you okay?
Okay, I'm like,
Throwing hands.
and I'm the sports reporter. I'm the
I know,
Saturday
come
person.
on.
What's going on?
All right. Last question, everyone. Who was almost cast in Hannah Montana over Miley Cyrus in 2004? A, Victorious' Ariana Grande, B, Gossip Girl's Taylor Momsen, or C, Wizards of Waverly Place's Selena Gomez?
Jason. Was
All
it
right,
Ariana Grande?
No, it was not Ariana Grande.
I just assumed because she could sing.
Okay, so Jason's out. Elvin, Liz?
I will be really honest here. I am showing my age. I probably really don't know any of these actors so well, so I would have no idea.
I'm kind of surprised that Hannah Montana was 20 years ago, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't know as well. Out of those three, if I were to just guess, I'd go with B.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Having a guess
I
works
must
out in the
have
end.
You beat me.
So there you go. Yeah. I mean, next time you're at a trivia night, you're all going to be smashing that question.
Honestly. Now it's time for show and talk. Each one of our wonderful guests has brought in a piece of media, and Elvin has gone above and beyond and actually brought two, which I'm excited about, for us to analyse and review the disability representation in. I'm really excited to get stuck into 3 pieces of media this time around, and let's kick it off with the one that Liz has brought in.
My name is Marcus Markovich, and I am going to be your basketball coach for the next 3 months.
Nope.
Wait, what?
I said nope.
Is this something he normally does?
Nope.
That's Darius. He's our best player. I'm Johnny. I'm your homie with an extra chromie.
All right.
Love it. Liz, why don't you kick us off and tell us what you thought about Champions?
I mean, obviously being a sports person, I live for sports, and there is a severe lack, I think, of disability representation in sports films. And Champions is one that came out in 2023. It's a Bobby Farrelly film, so for those of you that may know the Farrelly brothers, definitely thinking of the unfortunately named Dumb and Dumber and Shallow Hal and all those types of movies. So I have to admit, I went into this film, I guess, a little bit anxious, tad nervous about what it was going to be like. But I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. I can say it certainly isn't a perfect film when it comes to disability representation, but I can see that it's definitely a film that's taken some big steps forward in the fact that they actually used disabled actors for the disabled characters. So we didn't have a Rain Man situation going on with this film.
Thank God.
Absolutely, thank God. I think though, I guess my criticisms that would come about it and where maybe they haven't shown enough progress is that I really felt that the disabled characters were, again, I guess that stereotypical premise of disability as the character is there to teach the main character a lesson. So we have Woody Harrelson who plays Marcus. He's a basketball coach who has gone through a bit of a tough time. He's been out drunk driving and has been caught, and his punishment is to go and coach this Special Olympics basketball team. And again, just it's about how this team teaches him a few lessons, which I think the more interesting route would have been to completely flip it on its head and go, no, make these players the main characters. And how does Woody Harrelson's character, maybe teach them some lessons?
I agree. I think I only watched Champions for the first time recently because I too had some skepticism going in as like, oh, is this going to be the feel-good disability film of the year kind of thing? I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of it. Like, I think it was a great assortment or diversity in terms of disability represented. But yeah, like the chemistry between the characters and the players was really good. I loved when what was her name? The female character.
Oh,
Constantino or something. Yeah. When she comes in, halfway through the film, almost. And just like puts all the guys in their place, kind of thing. It was.
She was the standout.
She was great. Honestly. She was very, very good. I will say, towards the end of the film, so I knew how it was going to end. Like, we all know what's going to happen.
we all know.
We all know that, he's going to choose them, blah, 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 all that kind of thing. Spoiler alert, everyone. But I will say they did call out sort of a rival, like a broadcast, another team wanting to poach like Woody Harrelson's character for like to be a good PR story for them, and he called them out on that, or like they called so I do think, they were aware of that kind of trope, but it still played into it very strongly as well. So I don't know, again, like I love films like this where, the representation is there, and we have the opportunity to dissect it and have these discussions because, as you said, like nothing's perfect. It's a solid film, I reckon, for disability representation.
Let's play the first of Elvin's clips.
Okay, Ruby Rossi. Looking at your application, aside from your involvement in the school choir and a very nice letter from Bernardo Villalobos, you don't have a lot of history with music.
I don't understand. Is there a question?
Through the calm or the storm, you're with me now and then.
You're the girl with the deaf family? Everyone but you?
Yeah.
And you sing. Interesting.
I've never done anything without my family before.
There are plenty of pretty voices with nothing to say. Do you have something to say?
I think so.
Miles is auditioning for Berklee College of Music. How do you feel when you sing?
I don't know. It's hard to explain.
You will be required to have a hearing individual on board at all times.
I want to do this. I can't stay with you for the rest of my life.
CODA. Elvin, do you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, before I start, I'd just like to check in. Does everyone here know what the acronym CODA stands for?
I do.
I do.
Yep.
Great. So it's a child of deaf adults.
Yeah.
And the reason for this is there are a lot of CODAs that those children that live with parents that are deaf, perhaps even siblings that are deaf, and they see themselves as not only being a family member, but also having that facilitation of the hearing world, acting as that interpreter as well. So that CODA is sort of like an identifying mark for that background. And here it just shows a person really stepping outside that identity and going into the hearing world in that sense of a world of song and singing. And that's where her parents who are deaf, they don't come from that world. So there's a lot of cultural overlay and clashes there. And we could see opportunities there where there's signing along with the singing so that parents can feel proud of their daughter and being able to access the information. And this is really one of the first movies that have so many deaf actors in there and has had a lot of raving reviews from the deaf community worldwide. I think the only small criticism out of that is that with this CODA, the main character isn't actually a CODA. She hasn't come from a deaf family.
Yeah.
So she's just an actor that's been cast into the role and has learnt sign language a couple of months prior to acting the role. So, because she's not a true authentic CODA, there's that bit of differing views on that. But this is where it's provided a platform where there's a lot more deaf people. I believe the father has won an award as a deaf actor.
Yeah.
It's truly amazing.
Yeah. I loved that movie, but that was I think one of my only things was they obviously had people with lived experience throughout everything except the main character. And I just thought that was such a missed opportunity. But yeah, honestly, just watching that trailer or recap again, I was just like,
I mean, I
love
think
that movie.
I've already geeked out over Marley Matlin and Troy Kotsur today, but I'll do it again. Like, they are phenomenal actors. And then you have the son as well, and it's so great. Again, like, it's really, I love films like this where you see disability, like the dynamics of disability within the family cohort. There's such depth to the sibling relationship, to the child and parent relationship, you know, because disability does impact those dynamics. And, you know, when the parents are relying on the child, as you say, for interpretation and facilitation of the hearing world, that really impacts the relationship. But overall, they're still a family, and they still have that love, and that, you know, they're an average family, but they just have these extra complexities that they bring into it. So it's really, I love seeing that play out on screen.
Yeah, they did a good job of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the scene where you have the girl with her parents going to a doctor's appointment, and this girl's the only one that knows both languages. So essentially she's put in a position where the doctor said you can't have sex for 1 week to the parents, and the daughter's in a position where she needs to interpret that and going, okay, you can't have sex forever, and how she signed that. There's a bit of a misinterpretation there, and just shows that aspect of being a CODA.
I love, because you want to have fun with it as well. Like, that's funny. Like, that's great.
Yeah, quite a naughty moment of her.
Is that something that would normally happen, like for a CODA, that there would be that misinterpretation?
Yeah, I've heard many stories. So you get situations where parents will attend a school and there's a parent-teacher interview for the student who's a CODA, and sometimes it may be a negative comment about the CODA, and the CODA may, you know, put some colouring into that messaging so the parents aren't aware.
I love it.
It's kind of horrible, but it's just classic kids being kids, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Moving on to our third clip and Elvin's second clip. Let's get that one rolling now.
Looking at me. Who's that looking at me?
This is really fun, this one. Deaf You. It's just a really good, I guess, would you call it a reality show?
Yeah, so this is essentially a documentary of deaf people in university. So in America, there's a deaf university where all deaf students can attend, which I think is a real cool concept. So that universities sort of provides like a mini community where it's just purely deaf, and it's a real cool environment. And it just shows the true lives of the deaf ways and deaf culture just being on show for everyone to see. And it's a really good demonstration of that cohort. And with this, I do feel that there's, I would say that's reflective of all deaf people that are sort of reflect as party goers and out drinking. That's just one portion. And it's like, you know, in the hearing general mainstream community, you got different people have different passions and different hobbies. So this just shows one part of it.
I think something that you mentioned, deaf culture, like I don't think a lot of people from the hearing world are aware of what deaf culture is. And
yeah, so here it just shows that we have our own ways of being. So we have our own language.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realise that we have that language, and as a result, they're not savvy to the communication there and what we talk about it. And it's like you get like a VIP pass into it if you have that language.
and
you get included
because they were talking
it's
about
great.
the hierarchy, you know, like if you've come from a family that's been deaf for generations, like you're elite.
Yeah, that is present. Yeah, so true. There's that deaf cohort in the community, but then within that, you've got the subgroups. You've got those that are sort of like real, you can describe it as like strong deaf that come from different generations. Then you get like the cool group and the trendsetters, and you got the others that are, you know, leaders in sports. So you got all these different subgroups.
It's giving Mean Girls. And now it's time for Ads Askew, where we check out an ad that represents disability and find out if it's on point or a little bit askew. So let's go.
So how was the big wedding?
Oh, haven't you heard? So it's at the end of the night, everyone's on the dance floor really getting into it, you know? And say, this is my left wheel, and this is the bride's foot.
Yeah.
Bush.
How awful.
Well, it wasn't all bad. I left with the best man's number.
You are terrible.
Guilty.
I'm not inviting you to my wedding. No. That's it, you're off the list.
I love Maltesers ads.
Yeah, they're good. That one, that's my favourite that I've seen. I've not seen that before.
Neither.
I feel like that's a UK-based ad.
Yeah.
It is. I 13 years living in the UK.
Yes.
I've seen this ad actually quite a few
Have you?
times. Yeah, I feel like
man.
I'm cheating, but
But okay, I will say it just shows that the UK is doing disability representation far and beyond what we're doing here in Australia.
Literally.
Yeah.
I love that ad so much.
It's
for
so-
so many reasons.
Well, it's fun, and it's funny. I love that, the physical comedy, that's really on point.
It's the incidental inclusion. It's the fact that they also, in the same 30-second ad, alluded to a person with disability having a romantic relationship. I'm like, tick, tick, tick.
Yeah.
Slay. That's all I have to say is slay.
I think also it's the, I don't know about everyone else, but I do find a lot of humour in my disability in my day-to-day life, right?
Absolutely.
And I think for her it is that it was the bride's foot and I was just like, bam! And just finding the humour in, I'm using my wheelchair and oops, I've accidentally run over someone's foot.
Not just someone, the bride's foot at her own wedding.
Exactly.
Poor bride.
Yeah, and it's so funny, looking at that. For me, my first view of that, I'm like, as an advertisement for Maltesers, I'm thinking, is that sort of demonstrating that Maltesers can easily disintegrate? What are they trying to portray about their product?
It won't support the weight of a
It's looking
wheelchair.
on the light side because Maltesers are so light.
Light and fluffy.
Yeah.
There you go. Must be it.
Yeah.
I do like that that's what you took away from that.
Yeah,
That's
same.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good.
Love it. Wow, I think we're all fans of this ad.
that
I would
was
say
fun.
that this one wasn't askew. So
I'd say this one
well
was
done,
1
Maltesers in
point.
the UK, really.
Teach Australia. Okay, so before we wrap up today, we're going to just get some speedy suggestions from our panel. And this could be anything they recommend you go watch. Could be recommendations for life in general, life hacks. So we might start with Elvin down the end of in the hot seat. What's your speedy suggestion?
Two come to mind. One, I'd really want all movies to have open captions. So it's not just an add-on for deaf people, but just for people who have English as a second language, they can enjoy that. So having that open captions is really important. Having closed captions in a form where it's an add-on cannot be as accessible as we need. Thinking about my second idea in regards to narratives, it's important to have that new narratives and perspectives in movies that show authenticity.
Yep.
100%.
Amazing.
And Liz?
For me, I guess because I am quite often in front of the camera at work at the ABC, I would love to see in more media organisations more disabled people actually behind the camera of all places, because I actually think we need more disabled producers, more disabled storytellers, more disabled script writers, because that is where we'll actually get, thinking back to Champions and some of the examples we've spoken about, actually having from the beginning of the production stage of any show, that disability perspective is so important.
Yeah, 100%. And that Maltesers ad tells me that there was a person with disability behind it to make fun of that situation and to actually understand it. And then they've obviously got someone with lived experience deliver it in that way. So
100%.
Unless it's just a real story that she's drawing upon.
Who knows? Who knows?
My speedy suggestion is just for any wheelchair users. I don't know if I can show these off a little bit. Hopefully I can. But just these amazing pants from Jam the Label, because they've got an elastic back. They're so comfy.
Very comfy.
jamthelabel.com.
Little plug right there. The model, Jason the model's coming out now.
That was my speedy suggestion.
And my speedy suggestion to wrap up is actually a Christmas movie that I've loved for many, many years. And from my perspective, I think the representation is quite good. It's called The Family Stone. It's an American film from probably 20 years ago now, but one of the characters in the family is deaf. And you see the family sort of signing as they're sort of talking and like, you know, interacting with the character. And it just, for me, like his deafness is not like pointed at, like at all really. It just feels very natural within the family dynamic. And I think that kind of taps into what we were talking today about CODA. So again, I love seeing that interact with the family dynamics. And yeah, The Family Stone, one of my go-to Christmas movies.
Love it.
Yeah.
I have to check it out.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
will
Love a good
definitely be
Christmas
looking for it this Christmas.
Nice.
100%.
Nice.
Amazing.
Well, thank you both so much for coming on today's show.
Thank you.
We've loved chatting with
Thanks
you
for
both.
having me.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone watching at home. We hope you've enjoyed today's episode. As Jason said, jump onto our social media channels and let us know what your thoughts are on today's media pieces. And we'll see you next time on Reframed.